Hey everyone, welcome to another week and another office hours. Thanks for joining me again this week. Um, don't have a lot to talk about. I mean, it's summer, things are kind of hot and slow, but I think want to talk about. I've actually gotten some information lately about some things, especially as it relates to Liberty Lake's growth, planning, things like that, that I'll talk about. I want to also say just some general housekeeping, planning a couple of more events in August. I guess this month, it's August already. In September, maybe October. Um, want to try to have one at Zephyr Lodge, still in the planning process of that. Um, and another one will probably be back at Trailbreaker, where my campaign kickoff event was. I just really enjoy events. I enjoy putting them together. I enjoy getting people together. Like I mentioned last week, last Wednesday, I think it was, hosted a small event in our backyard that my wife and I have been doing since last August. Had a great turnout, probably about 18 to 20 people. That's by far the biggest, and met some new people. Uh, got to introduce some people to each other for the first time, and it's just in general just a great way to meet people and get to know more people here in Liberty Lake and Spokane in general. So love doing that. Uh, I'd much rather have events than go door to door to interrupt people in the evenings or the weekends, but I'll do that as well. But anyway, stay tuned for those. If you're not subscribed to my email that goes out every Friday, be sure to go to travislscott.com and subscribe to that so you can know about events. This Facebook page as well is a good place for that. But yeah, just stay tuned for those. Hope to meet some more people that way. Um, so, one of my pillars of my platform is smart growth. Um, I think it's important to balance the growth of our city with conservation and a host of other things, quality of life. There's a lot of things that are all tied together, and the more I'm involved in this campaign and just kind of the inner workings of the city, the state, um, I learn, I become more aware that things aren't black and white. I think I might have talked a little bit about that last week, but since then, I've had several discussions with people about growth in Liberty Lake, zoning, and different things, Greenstone, you name it, and I've learned a lot. And I hope to, within the next week or so, um, I hope to meet with Jim and or Joe Frank, because I'd really, want to hear their perspective on things, their vision for the growth of Liberty Lake, the development, um, and just kind of get more. I want to get their take on things, because I've talked to people in the area, in the city. Um, some people are upset about the shipping containers. I get that, but it seems like those are temporary solutions to a problem that a more permanent solution is trying to be found. Um, and the more I look into things, the more I see, that a lot of good things have happened through Jim Frank and what he's done and some of the organizations he's formed and belongs to. Um, and I don't believe that his and or Greenstone's intentions are bad. I don't. Um, I also found out some things about the way about our growth, really, and the future of our growth, and what is in store. And apparently, the reason there has been an uptick, well, I mean, there's a few reasons. Again, it's complicated. It's not black and white, but there has been an increase in the number of apartment buildings, multifamily housing being built. Part of that is just the cost of living, the scarcity of homes, especially at certain price points, for young professionals, for people, starting out families, things like that. Starter homes just don't exist really anywhere anymore, and especially here in Liberty Lake. But I found out that the state has kind of mandated that we're part of an urban corridor, I think is what they refer to it as, and expect us to meet a certain population density, which we're nowhere close to hitting at this point. And it's kind of frustrating to know that the state is designating places and kind of telling cities, that, hey, you have to be more dense. I don't think anybody wants denser population here in Liberty Lake. So that's concerning to me that the state is dictating that. I get part of why. It's conservation, which I'm for, but I think there's different ways to go about it. And the reason being, if they can concentrate people in an urban corridor, it'll prevent urban sprawl from eating up farmland, eating up natural areas. I get that. I mean, if you go just drive between here and Coeur d'Alene, or especially like if you go to Hayden and you go the back roads through Post Falls and that way, I mean, farmland is just being guzzled up and turned into apartments and homes. Kind of sad. I mean, I realize that the place is growing like crazy, that there's a shortage of housing still, despite mortgage rates going up and things slowing down. There's still a supply issue. But I just I don't like the fact that the state says you need to add more people. I just don't think that is part of conservation, where you overload a certain area and its resources. So that was interesting to find out that was the case. So it explains a lot that's going on. It explains how the city's hands are, in some degree, is the hands are tied. So my goal in city council is to learn as much as I can about the different issues, about what we're up against, the constraints that we have to work with, and figure out as a council collectively how best to work within those constraints for the benefit of Liberty Lake. Constraints are part of life. You just have to figure out how to work within them. A lot of times constraints are the catalyst for creativity and new things, new ideas, new ways of doing things. So I actually don't mind constraints. And in fact, there's a book called Beautiful Constraint, which I would highly recommend. It's kind of more of a business book, talking about how constraints within a business can actually be good for the business in the long run. Great book. But anyway, that's pretty much what I've got. Not a lot. Do want to remind people that I am doing a walk and talk on Fridays. It's typically at 8:00. The first one was last week. One person joined me and two of my sons for about a 2-mile walk. and it was great. It was someone I had never met before. We had a great conversation, talked about a lot of things. Talked about her HOA, which I know there's, I feel like my HOA does a good job overall, but I don't think other people are as fortunate. HOAs can be a tricky thing. And it was really disturbing what she told me about her HOA and how they were treating a particular board member, which the board on HOA is supposed to represent the people who live in the neighborhood. And if the HOA is just disregarding the kind of will of the people who live there and telling them to shut up, that's a problem. And I don't know what can be done about it. That's something that I would like to look into. See, does the city have anything they can do to help that situation out? Because that was a pretty disturbing story that I found out about that HOA. But anyway, kind of got off topic, but the walk-in talks have been, it started last week. It was great. I look forward to doing them again. This week, the time may change a little bit. My sons are in a soccer camp at Rocky Hill Park that the time was moved from 10 a.m. to 8 a.m. So that's right when the walk was supposed to happen. So it may happen an hour earlier or an hour later than normal. So stay tuned for that. I will make a decision on that by tomorrow. The walk and talk on Friday the 11th, so next week, will not be happening because I will be out of town visiting family in Indiana. But we'll resume that on the 18th. But yeah, next week's office hours are still, I'll be back by then. That's kind of more of a long extended weekend, but office hours will still happen on schedule. And yeah, if you have questions, if you have topics that you'd like me to discuss, please let me know. Send them to me through Facebook Messenger. You can email me at travis@travislscott.com. Go to my website. There's a chat bot that you can ask questions. There's a comment form, a contact us form. There's a lot of ways to get in touch with me, is what I'm trying to say. And want to hear from you, want to know what topics you'd like me to talk about, what concerns you have, what things that further research and come back to you with some answers. Sorry. So yeah, I want to hear from you. And I know it's summer, it's slow. A lot of us don't want to talk about issues, kind of had enough with the news cycle and everything that's going on right now. Kind of is nice to unplug and just kind of disconnect from everything a little bit. So yeah, I have a feeling the end of this month, once Labor Day hits, things will pick up again and more people will be around and active. So in the meantime, please reach out, share comments, concerns, ask me questions. Like I said last week, politically, I don't fit in a box. So if you have questions about anything, feel free to reach out. Happy to talk, happy to meet, and trying to make myself available to people in the community to get to know me, for me to get to know them, to better understand everyone else's perspectives. So it's 4:15. That's really all I have. It's recorded every week. If you miss it, catch it. And really don't want to just ramble. I'm not the kind of person who, if we have a 30-minute meeting, I try to fill it. If that's what I've got, that's what I've got. So going to end early. This is a quick one. Let me know what you want to talk about next week, and I will see you then and hope to see you Friday. Stay tuned. Go to my Facebook page, and I will let you know the new time for this Friday that we'll be doing the walk and talk. All right. Thanks, and have a great week.